Hey guys, welcome back to another Unreal Engine 4 live stream here. In this one, what we're going to end up doing is I'm kind of going to be more planning out the blueprint. We're going to continue working on the ground pound mechanic that we see in Halo 5. Just trying to recreate it in Unreal Engine 4. Again, what we have is what we had starting off from our last tutorial. So that's where we're going to kind of continue from. But right now what I want to do is kind of plan more regarding how the blueprint will work. So I just want to kind of go into Photoshop and kind of, I guess, kind of graph out the functionality that we'll need. So I like to do this. I don't do it usually in Photoshop like this. I usually just write it down or just kind of think about it and sit in place and kind of think. But since I'm doing a live stream, I thought I'd do it through Photoshop just so I kind of have a visual of it as well. So when thinking about this blueprint, it starts really on two different kinds of conditions that really need to have to be true. Maybe more. I haven't played Halo 5, so I don't know exactly how the mechanic works. What my guess is two or three conditions need to really be met. And that's very large lettering, so let's drop it down. The first condition is the player needs to be in the air. You can't do this when you're on the ground or standing still or walking. So we need to know if the player's in the air. So we need to know if the player's in the air. And in Unreal Engine 4, I think there's a way to check if they're in the air. There's one there's a function that returns a Boolean value that reads off if the player is falling. Like I have it right here. It's under character movement. But I wonder if the character movement has anything involved with air. All it is air control. Maybe the mesh, maybe? So all I know right now is there's the ability to check if the player is falling. So that should be enough. I'm kind of curious if there is any checks. Let me do a little research on the side here. So it looks like for right now the is falling is what we want for that kind of condition. So we know that exists. We have it right here. We can set up a branch for it. I already was playing around with that. So that's our first condition right here. Is the player in the air? The second condition is whether or not the player is actually holding down the appropriate button that we want. So we gotta think about which button we want. For right now, I'm gonna use the right mouse button. So I'm gonna abbreviate as RMB. Is right mouse button down? And in conjunction with that is how long it's been down. So first we want to know if the player is in the air. Then we want to know if the right mouse button is held down and for how long it's being held down. The last condition that I can only imagine is involved is if the actual ability, the mechanic, is fully reset. It might be a cooldown, maybe 5 seconds. I'm not sure how Halo works exactly for Halo 5 with this mechanic. So my assumption is you can't do this anytime you want. It might be a cooldown or a reset. So I'll just write cooldown will reset. So that's our first set of questions. These are like some of the conditions. So, whenever we have conditions, we then need to kind of think of variables that need to go along with these. So, for is in the air, this will most likely 100% require a Boolean. We can just label like Boolean variable. So we want to create a Boolean variable for that. Same thing goes for the right mouse button being down. But for how long, we'll need either a float or an integer. Because if we want to make a variable for that, we want to make that adjustable when we can. Most likely it'll be a float, but we'll put float or integer, just depending on kind of more accuracy. Integer might be better just because it's whole numbers, but again, we'll kind of play with that when the time comes. And then cooldown, that again is going to be a float or integer. And then the condition of it being reset most likely is going to be a Boolean. So already, we have our initial conditions that need to be set. And then alongside some variables that we'll have to have in place to really check these conditions. So we need to, pass, conditions. We just label this as conditions. And once we have our conditions, we kind of have to think about some of the, I guess, the initial events that need to take place as well. So the events that are going to kind of take effect here. For my thought process, there's going to be two different events involved. The first event is going to be just tick. Change this. Oops. Let's fix that. So, oops. So event tick. So this happens every game tick. This event gets called. And we'll use this kind of like what we have already to really control where the marker's showing up. Kind of like how we have set from those previous tutorials with the line trace, and then the break result here, and then this function and the spawning here. And the second event would be event, I will just call it right mouse click or press. So these are going to be our two events, really. Like every game second, we want to be checking this, but we only really do anything once the right mouse button is pressed. So these are going to be the two main events. So now that we have our events and our conditions, we can kind of draw out like a flowchart of how we would imagine everything coming out. So I want to create some basic shapes real quick. But now we got a box. And again, I'm just making basic shapes, just to make visualizing it a little easier as well. We got a diamond. And let's grab a circle. Oops. Okay, now we got some basic shapes, so that's always good. So we'll start with our diamond. And this event is going to be tick. So we'll just type tick in here. So on tick, we want to be checking our conditions. Let's get a paintbrush. And this first check we're going to be doing, it could be any of these really. So I'll just do them in any kind of order. So the first one will be in air. If that's true, connect those. Second condition, right mouse button, down. And if that's true, then one last check. And then we'll check our last condition here. And that condition is going to be if the cooldown's complete. So let's do reset. So if all these conditions are true, this is where we actually want to start doing something. But what we want to do as well is kind of at the same time we want to have a second event set up over here. Let's get a copy of our diamond. This one's going to say right mouse pressed. And basically, if this is true, we want to set our Boolean variable for RMB down to be true. So let's grab a copy. Oops. Bring that down. We'll do RMB true. And it's basically when the right mouse button is pressed, that we actually kind of want the tick to actually kind of move forward. So that's going to be kind of our like a gating condition. So basically, once all these at the tick are true, that's when we can grab our rectangle here. And this is where we can spawn our marker. And then this is also where it's at this point that we want to start a timer. And we gotta set this timer, because the way the mechanic works, it takes like a 2 or 3 second charge before the actual like ground pound mechanic will work upon release. And then now that we have that kind of there is another condition that we may need. And it would be is ready, I guess would be what it's called. It would be a boolean. So it would be a boolean variable. Because after the set timer, after 3 seconds, we want to set that boolean to be true. Just because of the size of this document, I don't think drawing this out is going to be too effective at this point. But at this point, we've gathered some good information, so I'm going to jump into and really kind of play around with this. So first and foremost, we're going to just move these guys out of the way. We'll just toss him over here, and that's the logic again to spawn our marker on screen. Let's kind of start from scratch. And let's just dump all this. So there's our event tick, and then we also want to have right mouse button. Let's go ahead and start creating some of our conditions here. So is in air, you can get that from our character movement inherited variable. This is falling. We want that with our event tick. We can do a branch right off the bat on that. And we can just test its functionality by doing a print string. So if this is true, it's going to print out falling. So we kind of see that right away. So this is actually the functionality we want. So right now, I kind of boosted the jump height, so don't worry about my guy jumping super high. But we know that this condition's working, so let's just get that. Now let me kind of cut it and paste it over here. So we know that condition's working. So the next condition we have is that the right mouse button's down. And we're going to first take care of this over here. So let's create a new variable. It'll be Boolean, luckily that's ours by default. And then we'll type is right mouse button down. And so what we're going to do, when the right mouse button here, when this event, when we get pressed, we'll set that to true. Then if this is release, we're going to set this to false. So we can copy and paste that, uncheck the variable for it. And now now we're basically setting our right mouse button here. So now, if this is true, we don't want to do another condition. We want to see if it is right mouse button down. We'll do another branch. But then the true. And then if this is true, we can grab our print string again. We'll go right mouse button down. And this will only happen if I'm in the air and holding down the right mouse button. Right now I'm pressing the right mouse button. And nothing's happening. When I'm in the air, it says mouse button down. So that's working too. So that's great. So let's get rid of this print string. And for right now, I'm going to create a variable for it. It's going to be an integer. We'll call this something timer. Pound timer. I wonder, is there a set timer? I guess what we can do, grab this timer, and plus, or increment it. Let's print out the integer real quick. So once I'm jumping and holding down the right mouse button, we're going to see some numbers. And that's kind of quick. So we don't want it to be that quick. So what we may need is a delay. Just 1 second should be enough. Let's see. We need to do once here. Do once directly in. Remain. Yeah. I'm trying to think. Because what I want to have happen here is, like right now, if we set the delay into the increment, and we jump and hold right mouse button, it takes it like kind of a couple seconds. So I want it to be faster than that, only on the first second. trying to think of the logic that we'll need. I don't know if do once will be the logic that we want. Let's see. I guess we could do some conditions here. Basically say, is it greater than 0? Actually, we'll want just greater than. Stop. So this is how we'll know it's the first time doing it. So basically, we'll ask ourselves, hey, is the ground pound timer greater than 0 right now? And if it is, we'll do some different logic, but if it's not, so if this is false, so if it's 0 at this point, what we can do is increment and we can do a print string just to show this. So we should only get 1. Like 1 should be the only thing that's printed. And it is. So it's now at this point where the true portion of the logic needs to come into play as well. And so this is where we might need to make another variable too, because we want to set kind of a time limit, like a window of time that the player has, where you can aim and everything like that. So we'll create a new variable. It's going to be an integer. We'll call it max time, and we'll set that to maybe 7. So now, if this condition is true, we still want to increment, but we want to have a delay. And we can just throw this guy in there. So now, but this is actually where we'll need to do condition for max time. So we want to see, I want to see if the ground pound timer is greater than or equal to our max time. Take a branch. True. If this is true, this is when we want to kind of like reset everything. But if this is false, this is where we can increment again. And now this is where we can kind of set additional, not conditions, but kind of branch off some of our conditions. Let me move all these guys. So what we can do here is, if is following is false, we want to set the ground pound timer to 0. And we'll also want to do that when the mouse button is released. So now if we jump and hold right mouse button, we're at 2 seconds. Let's reset again. So we see the resetting work. But now, what we need to think about is, because when the player holds down the right mouse button, his position is static, kind of. They're like in the air while they're aiming. Like they don't fall while they're aiming. So what we'll need to do is, I know what we need to do. I'm just trying to think of the condition here. So we don't really want to do it on tick. Let me get rid of this print string. We may need to do once here. Whoops. And what we're going to do here in this do once is we need character movement, set gravity scale, and set it to 0. I'm just hoping this isn't semi-flying. We actually may be able to do it down here. So it happens immediately. Okay, then we're flying away. So we'll want it 0 gravity, but we'll also want to get player pawn, get world location, 0 location 1, get actor location. I don't know if this is going to work. I think this will just give us the same result. Yeah. Trying to think of the logic. I don't want to be moving. I guess we want to 0 out the velocity. Set velocity. Just give me 0, 0, 0. That should be what we want. Yep. And then it's when we want to let go that we set the gravity back to normal. Gravity scale is set to 1 by default. So we'll get character movement, set gravity scale, set that to 1. So now we jump, we're holding right mouse button, let go, and we drop. So that's cool. But it doesn't work. It doesn't work the second time because this doesn't get reset. So I'm going to create a custom event here. I'll do reset gravity scale. That'll let us know that we're resetting that one. So now we should be able to do this multiple times. So here's the first time. And it's also at this point that we want to be able to start aiming. And then if we've been holding it long enough, that's when we'll actually shoot forward a ground pound. But if it's less than a certain time, that's when we'll just kind of fall like that. But now we can do it multiple times. That's always good. So now, this is where more logic is going to be coming in. Because this is where we're going to actually start drawing our marker. So we'll need a sequence. And I'm going to create a new custom event here. Call it draw marker. And I'm going to just plug it into the actual logic over here. I forget what logic was over here. Something's missing. We got to open up another version of Unreal real quick. I forget what's in here. I think this is the blueprint. Nope. Oh, I remember which one it was. We did it in the objective tracker one. So we'll just wait for that to open up. Come on. Hold on in the meantime, we want that to be called. And we'll also want that event draw marker to be called. And the same thing kind of goes over here. A sequence. And then draw marker. Now we just need the missing link over here. So this guy's taking its time loading. You can do it. Come on. I'm trying to think of, like, off the top of my head what could be in here, but I'm drawing a huge blank. Oh, I think I remember now. It's a sequence. A do once. This goes to this one. And then another custom event needs to be in place. Reset, marker, draw. I think that's all we'll need. But now it's finally loaded, so let's see if I was right. And it was. Should have just thought harder instead of waiting for that. Okay, so now so see that's working. Okay. So that's working, and we're seeing this condition here working too. That's why it kind of stops. So that's always a good thing. So now I want another condition too. So ground pound timer. Let's get a condition to see if it's greater than or equal to 3. Try 3 seconds. Do a branch. Obviously, if this is false, we don't really care. But if this is true, let me clear some air over here. So if this is true, we want to grab our spun marker, and we want to set, no, we want to get material instance. Yes, get marker material instance. And we want to do a set scalar. Now we need to go into a material. And it's called smaller ring opacity. So we want to grab that parameter, set the value to 1. And now, after 3 seconds, we should see, yep, that lets us know that it's ready to fire. So that's working too. So cool. And it's usually during this time where the camera's shaking too. I'm not going to add that effect just yet. Then it's actually after this part too that we want to check if the mouse button is down. Or, actually no. This is where we actually can create a new Boolean variable. And we'll call it is ground pound ready. Obviously it's going to be Boolean. Default value is going to be false. We're going to check here at this point, set it to true. I'm also going to set that to false here. But it's when the right mouse button is released that we actually want to have a condition here. Where is ground pound ready? If it is ready, that's when we want to launch the player. And kind of just like, basically aim in there. If it's false, that's when we want to do everything we just did over here. So from this true condition, let's do a print string. And just do is ready as the printout. And is ready. So we would let go at that point, get sent flying down. So that's working. Yeah, this kind of mechanic has a lot of conditions you gotta kind of think about. So this is gonna be pretty tricky. But now we have the condition here, basically saying, hey, we're ready to go. So now we have to figure out the velocity. So let me move this. Let's give ourselves some more breathing room. This would be very good to have to do a custom event too. We'll call this launch character, or launch player, whatever we want. This is what we call it. So there's actually, ooh. There's actually a launch function. That's nice. But we'll steam that custom event. Launch player, we'll call it, just so we don't get confused. Okay. So we'll want to launch the character, but we have to tell it what its velocity needs to be. And this is where it's going to get confusing, because I don't know what math I'm going to need to do here. So what we'll definitely need to do is we need to get the player position. So get player pawn and get actor location. And then we need to get our spawn marker, and we also need to get the actor location. My guess now is we need to subtract these two vectors. Maybe normalize it. And set that as the launch velocity. Override everything. Let's see. We can see what happens. So we have to wait 3 seconds. And nothing happened. Well, let's first make sure that this thing is getting called. So we'll put this print string here. So we're launching. Okay, it does do it. Let's just do, instead of normalizing it, let's just do the subtraction. Oh! So that's not right. We know that much. Let's do some research. Let's use trusty old Google here. Let's see. There's a grappling hook tutorial. Let's see. Maybe uncheck XYZ override? Because I feel like this is right. How am I going with maybe the other way? Closer. Maybe it's the impact point that we want instead of that. Let's try that. Close. Actually, we want this. That one, and then this one here. Boom. Oh god. Can we multiply this and then float? If I do it times 2, do I go hella quick? Yes. Ah! What's that? Aim. Ah, that works. Okay. So that's good too. It's really more. I gotta think. This is where it's also here. Well, we'll go ahead and set the gravity scale. So now we should be able to do it multiple times without a problem. Okay. So now, so where, so we'll need to do more conditions. More checks, because now we have to destroy the marker. Once you hit the ground, I think it's a record launch character. That's where we need to do another is falling check. If it's true, we'll do a delay. Kind of go back to it. If it's false, if they're not falling, this is where we'll want to destroy our marker. So let's see if that works. Let's see if we get any errors in editor either. Got it. And no errors. Sweet. But it's also under is falling. Well, we'll want to do something here for spawn marker. First, we'll want to check if it has anything in it. So it does not equal. Should be what we need. Push some of these guys away. I'll get you closer here. Okay, so if this is true, if it doesn't If it does not equal nothing, so this is where it's like, yes, there's something in there, that's what we'll want to destroy after. Actually, I don't think that's true. Yeah, that's wrong. We don't want that here. Where do we want that? Oh, it's gonna be here. Let me see. Oops. Let me see. Let's see. Gotta think. Um, um, gotta think. Mm, this is where logic hurts my brain. Okay, so basically right now, I guess when we see the ground pound timer is equal to max time, I guess no matter what, we want to just drop them. So let's see if that works. This is being called event drop player. And the max time I set to 7 seconds. Okay, drop player is getting called. Um, trying to think. Um, you know what? That's where I'm probably going to end it for this stream. My head hurts. We're getting really close, though. We're kind of happy on the progress we're getting on this. What we gotta do is really figure out the rest of the conditions, make sure that it functions the way we really want to. And then once we do that, we can add in effects like a camera shake, like an explosion particle happen when you land, and maybe a force radius that happens, so it's like an explosion. But we just gotta figure out the rest of this logic, make sure it functions the way we want to on a bare bone kind of way. And then from there, add those special effects. So again, what we have the ability to aim, jump, and then let go. We get sent flying towards them. We can also add in a function to go into third person, and then return. We can do a bunch of that. So that's going to be pretty fun. Maybe one thing we can tweak right now is just how fast we're going. Maybe 1.25. Should make that a variable though, just to make it editable. But I don't know. Let's make a variable for it real quick. Ground pound speed. Make that a float. Let's give it a default value of like 1.5. And then just dump it in. Okay. Okay. So again, this is going to be the end of this stream. So thanks guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoy these streams as well. I try to talk as much as I can during these streams so you see what I'm doing. I know, again, a lot of you guys are telling me that you can't see the screen too well, but again, I can't do much about it. So I'm trying to talk through it. But I do appreciate you guys subscribing and commenting and liking the videos and sharing them. So keep doing that. It'll be much appreciated. And for now, I'll see you guys in the next stream.